Hi, my name is Vince Palco. I'm the creator of AdToons Video Sales Letters, a breakthrough new type of online sales video. My clients have begged me to keep this a secret because they've experienced 20%, 30%, 85%, even 200% boosts in response after using AdToons VSLs. Based on that track record, I know AdToons VSLs can help you not just reach your current business goals for conversion rates, lead generation, or profits, but also allow you to set the bar much higher than you thought possible. You can make more money, a lot more money in your business by making just this one change. Take a look at this.
Hey, my name is Russell Brunson from dotcomsecrets.com, and I want to make a really quick video to just tell you about my experience with Vince and the sketch video he did for us. And you kind of see back here in the background, the first time I ever heard or even seen a video like this, I saw Mike Geary's Truth About Abs product. And at first I thought it was really cool, it was engaging. I actually ended up buying the product after watching the whole video, which is kind of funny because I'd seen the video probably 10 times, but the sketched out one actually got me to watch the entire video and buy. And so I was really excited by that, and so I think the next day one of my friends emailed me and told me some of the stats and the results behind the video, and I was blown away with it. So I immediately found out Vincent's email address. I never met him prior to that. I emailed him, asked him how quickly he could work on a project for us, and the next night I sent him a script and I had a voiceover, and within a week we had our first video back, and you can see it here in the background. And we did it for a webinar registration page. In our market, there's so many people doing so much stuff, and I wanted something that was different, that was unique, that would be kind of a big pattern interrupt, that would just make, stick out like a sore thumb and be different for people. And so when we first launched this, the very first month we were averaging over a 57% opt-in rate for our list and for a bunch of our partners' lists as well, which is unheard of in our industry. It was amazing. And so we did this, and in the last 4 months since we were running this webinar, we've grossed over $1 million in sales, and a huge percentage of that obviously is because our page is converting so good, and I really credit Vince for the amazing job he did on this and the creativity brought to it. And he created something that got people engaged. I think it's the best engagement device I've ever seen, to get someone interested in the video, but then sucks them in, and by the end of it, they've heard every single word in your copy. They're a part of it, and it's so much easier to get that person to want to take action when they've been that engaged in your sales message. So if any of you guys are looking at something like this, I highly recommend it. It's made me a lot of money, and I'm sure it's going to make me a lot of money in the future as well. Thanks, Vince, so much for all you do and for what you did with .com Secrets Local.
Now, what exactly are AdToons Video Sales Letters, you may be wondering? Let me show you. Here's a standard, boring, text-only sales video on one side that's basically created in PowerPoint, with the AdToons Video Sales Letter on the right side.
Assaulted. What is a woman to do? We say, fight back. But how do you fight back? Did you know that there is a rare art of jiu-jitsu that is the only martial art in the world that can teach a woman to effectively defend themselves from a violent attack, even if the attacker is much larger than you? This is not some form of karate or your regular YMCA self-defense program for women. Every women's self-defense program says they are the best.
If you are unemployed, if you are broke, if you are in between careers, if you are not enjoying your life, if you are struggling to make ends meet, if you are living week to week, if you are having marital problems or stress because of money, if you're hating your job, if you're unable to retire, again, because you're broke, or you just plain old don't know how to make money, then you are in the right place right now. For 10 years, I spun my wheels in the corporate hamster wheel only to find myself laid off, broke, and bankrupt. I was at the mercy of the quote-unquote system, and frankly, it chewed me up and spit me out like bad bubble gum.
It was an ordinary Friday night. My youngest daughter, Sophie, crawled into bed with us. This was something my wife, Chris, and I became accustomed to over the years with raising 4 kids. The usual routine was for me to put the kids back into bed, as I could always fall asleep after any disturbance, and my wife couldn't. I looked at the clock to see it was 1 a.m. For some reason this night, I just rolled back over and went back to sleep, not returning Sophie to her room. Next thing I know, I'm awakened by my daughter shaking in my back. I look at the clock, it was 4:45. She must be dreaming, I thought. I called her name for her to stop, but it continued. At this point, my wife and I were both awake, and I turned on the light. Sophie was having a seizure. Being in the health field, I've seen my share of health-related events, but this was the most frightening thing my wife and I have ever experienced. She came out of it after what seemed like an eternity, when in reality it was about 45 seconds. We rushed her to the hospital, and they ran the gamut of tests. All the tests came back normal, and we were sent home being told that 95% of kids will have a seizure and never have another. Sophie had 2 more seizures that day.
That, my friend, is a picture of a very well-fed kitty cat. You might think it's odd that a cat like that has anything to do with building huge amounts of wealth. But believe it or not, knowing a bit about this picture can make you wealthy in just about any economy. That probably sounds really weird, but stick with me and I'll show you the connection in just a minute. The bad news is that you've been screwed. And you've been deceived. You've been tricked into believing that there are certain things you need to do to be successful in our world. But as anyone can see by looking at the current state of the economy, this old way of doing things simply isn't working. And yet, the bankers and the politicians seem to be making out just fine. In fact, some would even say they're prospering. So what in the world does the picture of the cat I showed you have to do with all of this? And what does it have to do with your ability to build large amounts of wealth? Well, that animal is what you might call a fat cat. The greed of the big bankers, along with the help of the fat cats in Washington, have made things pretty hard for the guy who's just trying to make ends meet. The government can just print more money to take care of its problems, but that option isn't really available to folks like you and me.
As you can see, our version is much more dynamic. My team and I draw cartoons that illustrate the copy being narrated on a whiteboard. Can you see the difference? Can you feel the difference? I bet if you're like most, your eyes drifted to the right part of the screen the whole time, didn't they?